been one of those grit grindy guys, even though he has smaller legs. He's been a good run blocking guy. And the Cowboys for the last 2 seasons, and especially with a new coach named Mike Solari here, we've seen a crazy drop-off with Terrence Steele, right? And one can argue under Mike Solari, the offensive line been on the downhill. Not saying that Solari is the problem, but what I'm getting at, and shout out to Defy Talk for the beautiful overlays on all of this. But I'm going to say this, though. When we look at the complete picture, do we need an offensive line? I can argue and say yes. Do we want our offensive line? I can argue and say yes. You can make the argument for the offensive line. But what have the offensive line results been? Everyone have a reason, but results are what matter. And it's going to take you anywhere between 2 to 3 years or even more when other teams in your particular division is going out there getting skilled players that can catch touchdowns. You can block it up for 10 seconds, and if it's Jalen Tolbert, if he can't get free, what do that mean? And I'm not beating up Jalen Tolbert, by the way. If we don't have a concise plan of what we're going to do with running the ball, it doesn't matter if we have the Great Wall of Dallas. If you don't have a scheme. And I hear what people saying, well, hold on, Law, it's Dak, it's Dak, it's Dak. Okay, well, let me ask you this. Did anyone do their research with this particular team when you do have Dak Prescott gaining some yards with the running back? Oh, but he need an offensive line to do that. No, you need strategy and scheme. We ain't talking about running out of shotgun, right? I'm talking about absolutely power eye, pro style. I'm talking about GT counters. I'm talking about stretching the field with your run game, your strategy and scheme. The Cowboys, right now, we have 15 offensive linemen on this team. By the end of the draft, around this time next week, we probably have 18 to maybe 19. One can argue a full 20 when the undrafted guys get here. There's only one football, right? What they going to do, groups and sets of 5? Shoot, you have a whole 5 sets over there with offensive linemen. And who are they going to go up against, right? So what I'm getting at is the Cowboys. I'm not dogging if the Cowboys do go with an offensive line, but you better pick someone who will be day one ready. And I'm not finna have Tyler Guyton to play a full year or pieces of a year because he was healthy stretch on some games at left tackle last year for us to say, let's scrap it and let's put him at right tackle, right? And let's go through this growing pains with a Kevin Banks as a rookie, right? Or let's go with this growing pains with Josh Simmons, and then we go back to this and say, hey, if only he wasn't hurt, right? And at some point, I get it. The law of diminishing rates of return is always will be bestowed upon everyone. But in actuality, even with Tyler, what we're going to be the team of Tylers too, Booker. Shout out to him. But if he's the plug at that guard spot, guard, and I'm not trying to go against anyone that say, hey, he would be a good fit. But what I'm getting at is just be careful, Cowboy Nation, because you can block it all the way up and you still got Javonte and Deuce Vaughn in the backfield. And if they can't turn 5 yards, which is free, into 6 or 7, then we are in other troubles. But neither here nor there. The only thing that I can say with all of this is that coaching staff, they know what's best to get this run game going. And if we can run the rock, and if we looking at the offensive line is needed for that, then lo and behold, do that. But keep in mind, when we won those rings in the 90s, there wasn't many on that offensive line that was drafted in the first. And keep in mind, Big L.A., he came a little later on down the stretch. Let that sink in. It's all about strategy, systems, and scheme. Post me your thoughts, post me your concerns with the Cowboys if they do draft. It's cons and pros to everything. But I just believe that we need skilled players, right? We need players that can score touchdowns. That's what we need. Cowboy Nation, post me your thoughts, post me your concerns down below. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's get it, Cowboy Nation. I know. Offensive line people, they mad at me now. Look, we got to get an offensive line guy. Well, truth be told, it goes the way it goes. DC for life, not for short. Peace. We about.